Bikeaudioproject was an audio and performance piece, and it had a couple different ideas behind it. First of all, the simplest idea was playing with the mixing of sound in an open-air environment with moving sound sources. So experimenting with different mobile sources of sound that are constantly changing their positions in relation to each other and to the listener was what we were going for. And second, there was the more complicated idea of injecting unusual or out-of-context sounds into people's everyday environment. Sounds that aren't necessarily expected into people's everyday lives as they go about their business in the city. And we had quite a variety of sounds making up this collage, which came from 3 different moving bicycles. Each bicycle had its own independent sound system.
No, it doesn't skip, you know.
We were very inspired by the work of William S. Burroughs, who wrote a lot especially in his book The Ticket That Exploded and his essay The Invisible Generation. He wrote a lot about what sound can do, the psychological power of sound, how taking a sound from one situation and putting it into another can modify that second situation. He wrote about things like recording a riot and then going to a different part of the city, playing back that riot to induce another real riot. And he also talked about doing collaged sound in a way that would play with people's psychosocial expectations. It can be very subtle. Many people did not understand what was going on, but we could tell that at some level it was registering that they were confused, that something was going on that they weren't expecting, and they couldn't quite pick out what it was. It was just sort of under the radar of noticeability. It's something about the sounds they were hearing causing a little bit of disorientation. And that was exactly the kind of emotions that I wanted to play with. The sounds ranged from very surreal kinds of audio that people usually never hear unless they happen to be fans of experimental music, to sounds that may be just out of place or out of their usual time. In other words, not having to do with the situation that's actually going on. For instance, there were parts in the piece where there were the sounds of fire trucks or police sirens. Now, people hear these sounds all the time, but hearing them without seeing the accompanying vehicles is rather odd to some people.